So I don't want to talk about my contract, right now. But I will tell you that I am the GM of the Astros. So as I said, I'm the GM of the Astros, and that's what I would expect to be tomorrow, the next day, next day.
Okay, Matt?
I, can you speak up, Matt? Sorry.
Have you just had any further clarity than a couple days ago about whether Joe will return next season?
Look, I mean, I made it very clear that, look, Joe is the manager, and Joe is under contract.
Another question? Go ahead.
And you guys promoted Cam Smith very early, lost your service time. I guess in retrospect, you made the same decision, and what do you think he gained in being with the big league club all year?
Yeah, I mean, look, we needed an outfielder, and so I felt like Cam Smith learned a lot at the major league level this year. And I think this season that he had this year is going to be important for next year's development. And so I would expect that he's going to have a really good offseason, and he's going to come back like gangbusters. So I really feel like that need that we had in the outfield and using him and letting him develop and get some time. I mean, at one point he, was hitting over 285 with over an 800 OPS. And, just like everything else, you run into the ups and downs of this game, but I think he's going to learn a lot, and he's going to be better for it.
Okay, Dan, then Brian.
Joe first, and then Dana, if you want to hop in. Statistically this year, you guys were middle to lower of baseball. Is there anything to lead you to believe that it can improve with the current structure you guys have in place, coaching-wise, or do you feel like that's something you'll have to look at over the offseason?
Middle and bottom of what you were referring to.
Runners in scoring position, average, OPS, home runs.
Yes, I think there is areas in our offense where we can improve on. I think throughout the year we made some adjustments and we got better in certain areas, but I think that's an area that we as an organization need to look into. How can we have better quality at bats? How can we improve on getting on base more frequently and be better throughout the entire season?
Yeah, and look, I mean, anytime you get Jordan missing 4 months, you get Paredes missing 2 months, you get Pena missing a month and a half, you get Myers missing 2 months, I mean, your numbers are going to be down. Those are everyday major league players that you don't have on your team. And so, we'll address, some of the things like taking more pitches and being a little bit more selective. But make no mistake, when you take pillars out of your lineup, it's going to affect your team. It's going to affect some of their at-bats. When Jordan Alvarez is in the lineup, you have to pitch him. You have to pitch guys around him differently. And so I think the absence of Jordan really affected us big time.
Okay, Brian.
Joe, have any of your staff members said that they're all coming back, or have you had a chance to reevaluate, your coaching staff and the future of those guys going forward?
Brian, season ended 48 hours ago, and we are really trying to have some conversation and see how we're going to move forward. So that's where we are right now.
Okay, Chandler.
Dana, as you look at the injury situation this season, do you think this team has an injury prevention problem, or is it something that needs to be looked at, maybe the return to play, how you guys get injured players back on the field?
Look, I think this is an industry-wide issue with the injuries. And, but like everything else, we're going to, take a look at, every one of our departments, right? And so just to make sure that we're not missing anything. But I think we have these industries, the injuries are industry-wide, and there's, there's guys throwing harder, there's guys chasing spin. I don't think there's a magic bullet to why there are so many injuries. I know we were affected big time from it, and I think it cost us, the postseason because of all the injuries. I figure we get 2 or 3 more wins if we had all of our guys. But I don't think there's a magic bullet. And as for just, taking a look at this, we'll take a look at every department, in baseball operations.
As you guys look back at both the Alvarez hand situation and Myers' calf in August, as you reflect back, is there anything you guys could have done differently in those situations?
Yeah, I mean, look, for Alvarez, potentially more imaging. I think that may have helped us. But it's difficult when imaging's telling you one thing, and so you try to go with what you're seeing. But maybe if we would have got more imaging, with Alvarez. I mean, I think with Myers, Myers felt like he was trying to push it. He knew other guys were hurt, and he was trying to push it a little bit, and we need to get away from this injury bug that we're up against.
Okay, Matt?
For both of you, Dana, you mentioned just the emphasis on seeing more pitches and being more selective. That was also an emphasis going into this season. Just what can be done differently going into next season to produce results in big games?
Yeah, part of it is, as I said, look, with some of our guys being out, I think that affected, us. I think we, when Paredes went down, we started seeing less pitches per at bat. And so, look, I think that's going to be a big focus, for us, that you got to hunt your pitch, stick with hunting your pitch, and get to two-strike counts because you're making the pitcher work a little bit harder. And I think the fact that we chased a little bit early, it's just I think our guys were pressing a little bit because we had guys missing in the lineup, and we tried to do too much.
Just to add, and I think there was a period of time when we had some younger players at the major league level trying to fill some of those holes, and so it takes them time to set their feet in what the major league at bat will look like. Potentially trying to do too much because of the void of other players, but I think they handled themselves really well. There was a stretch there in June and July where we had younger players performing at a high level, grinding at bats, putting great at bats together, doing little things very well to help us win games. So that's also going to take away from overall numbers on pitch selection and stuff like that. But I think as a whole, there's ways that we can address that, and we'll do that. We're an offense that when we do the little things well, we take pitches, we drive the ball in hitters count. We've done it in all the years that I've been here. We just got to get back to that disciplined approach where we know that we are an elite offense when we all work together. And there were times where we kind of got away from that, but we have to do a good job of bringing that mentality back, and we will. There's no doubt about that.
Do you both think that message was kind of delivering to the players the right way or in an effective way?
Yeah, I was in there all the time, and we did. But there's times where there's the level of game that we are playing, the platform, the expectations that sometimes players get away from that approach, which is very normal. We just gotta continue to emphasize the importance of controlling the things that you can control and be the best hitter you could be in that at bat. And if you do that, it will trickle down, and now you get a whole entire offense working together.
Okay, Ari, Christie, then Brian.
For either of you, you guys have had kind of 48 hours to look at stuff. What have you been able to evaluate so far, and what are your priorities to evaluate?
Yeah, I mean, so we first, of course, been able to evaluate that you came up a game short, right? And you dwell on that, for more than you'd like to, and it's frustrating. You start looking back at, every single close game, some of the ones that you blew, and you just play that back in your head, and so. That's something that we've been dwelling on a little bit. But, I mean, that's a big part of the first 48. It's just hard to envision that you're not, playing in the postseason, and it's been tough. So that's pretty much what I've been dwelling on. I haven't really gotten to much after that.
And for me personally, it's having conversations with our players. I want our players to be proud of the effort and their fight till the end. So it's me having conversations in the clubhouse, or picking up the phone before they start the off season, and let them know that they fought till the end, and we came out short, and I could hear in their voice how they're ready to start next spring training. This is going to put a chip on our shoulders. Like we are a postseason team. We are built to play in October, and it was disappointing that we're not playing today. I'm not happy about it, but also we are learning from things that we could have done better. How can we improve our club? And our players are hungry to get back to spring training and play. That's what my 48 hours have been, aside with spending time with my girls.
All right, Christy, Brian, and then Dan.
Joe, I mean, obviously, you certainly don't want injuries, but because you had so many, and you were able to get so many young players meaningful
Yep.
at-bats, do you believe that will help you guys moving forward to have that experience?
I think that's a positive that gets kind of lost out in the narrative of the injuries, and I don't want it to be part of I don't want the injuries just to be the narrative. Let's talk about also our young players who came up and did exceptionally well, and we're going to need those players moving forward. We have been able to sustain this success because young players come up and they play and they turn out to be great players, all-star players. And I think we were able to find that out through these injuries where, hey, we got some young arms that came up and, help us get to this late run, position players who came up and, fill some big shoes or some big-time players because they knew they need to do it. So that aspect, not only performing, but knowing that, this team needs me. I'm also, I'm showcasing myself for next season. I want to put my name on the radar where I think this team can count on me moving forward. And I saw that development on our players, which I think is very important when you try to sustain winning at an organization.
Can I?
Okay.
And I know you talk about evaluating players, evaluating your staff, but do you do self-evaluation?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but absolutely. I look at myself in the mirror every night after every game. What could I have done better? How could I communicate myself better with the player, my staff? This is my second year on, managing this club, and I continue to grow. I'm open-minded about suggestions and ideas. How can I make myself better and make my players better? Absolutely. If not, I would not be helping. I would not be helping this organization if I'm not holding myself accountable. Because at the end of the day, I'm the manager of this team, and I'm responsible for what goes on in that clubhouse. So I care about that deeply. I care about the organization, and I care about putting the best product on the field because our fans expect us to win, and I take that very seriously.
Okay, we'll go Brian, Dan, Michael, then Matt. Brian?
With you guys going into spring or healthy, it seems like you'll have a logjam of players on the infield with Paredes and Correa and Pena and Uri, all those guys. How do you see that playing out in the offseason and going into next year? How can all those guys coexist?
Yeah, I think that's what the offseason is for. I think it's a great problem to have, but I think that will solve this itself by itself.
Okay, Dan?
Dana, two parts. Financially, where do you guys feel like you're going to be in terms of how aggressive you guys can be this offseason? And when it comes to trades, do you feel like you guys have any untouchable guys on your roster?
First, nobody's really untouchable. I mean, you have to keep every avenue open to try to get better. If there's an opportunity to make a trade, we'll make a trade. But, right now our roster is put together very well. I think we have a really good team. If we stay healthy, we will for sure be back in the dance in October. So what was the other part of that question?
Financially, just how aggressive you guys can possibly be?
Yeah, I mean, Jim Crane has never held back. So, I mean, I would think that we're going to have the full ability to go out and, acquire and get better. And if there's areas that we think we need to improve on, whether it's a starting pitcher or a left-hand bat, I think we'll be, in the market.
Okay, Michael, Matt, and Jesus.
This is for Joe, but Dave can ask also. Usually October, you guys are playing baseball at the ballpark. Do you guys have any plans for your off time in October? Anything with the girls? Anything like that?
I'll tell you. I'll share you, a little personal story. My little one. She was very disappointed that we're not playing in October. And I asked her, Daddy's home. We get to spend some time, and she wasn't very thrilled about the fact that we're not in the dance. And I told her that, you know what, Vivi, we're going to work really hard to get back to October because everything she's known is October, which I, appreciate that from her. But, she said, Daddy, you guys are a good team, and, thank you for being here for the next couple of days, but I wish you guys would be in the postseason. She mentioned Halloween. We've been in hotels for Halloween. All this, nice stuff that a 10-year-old would. And that, it touched my heart because you know how much I care about my kids, but also about playing October. And I was expecting to play today. And it's really difficult not to be on a baseball field today, suiting up and representing the city. But at the same time, it's time for us to, for me to reflect and, honestly, how, grateful I've been and how lucky we've been to be in a postseason for a very long time. So for me, it's time for me to, reflect and how can we make this team better? How can I make myself better, my staff better, so we could get back to October?
Okay, Matt, Jesus, and then Jason.
Just a couple of quick things. Altuve's role obviously evolved over the course of the season. Just how do you view that going forward?
Well, you know what? For me, Matt, we're going to sit down and go through that. Obviously, things were shuffled around because we were missing players. So you go from Plan A to Plan B to Plan C, and what I do want to say is that it's important to, again, remind how important Jose Altuve is for this organization. You go in there with a Plan A, injuries happen. Number one, this guy is posting every single day. He plays through pain, ups and downs. He's in there. Joe, where you want me to go? Left field. Okay. Second base. Yes. DH. Yes. Here we go. That's very important. Now, our job is to, once all these guys are healthy, put another plan in place where we could maintain all these guys healthy throughout the season. I think that's going to be where my main focus is going to be. How can we play these guys where there's DH days for everyone, and who's going to be playing here and there, so we could keep these guys healthy. And once we do that, once these guys are all healthy, we're going to find ourselves playing deep in October. For me, is Altuve. He's always open to do whatever is best for the team, and respect him immensely for that.
Also with Berrettini becoming a free agent, how do you view just kind of the organizational depth at catcher, and would there be any interest in possibly bringing him back?
Yeah, I mean, we would have interest in bringing him back and, having some conversations. Because if you don't bring him back, you definitely need a backup catcher, and he's been, I think, one of the best backup catchers in the league. And so we would like to bring him back, and we'll have conversations about it, but if he's going to be a free agent, so if he decides to go somewhere else, we have to be in the market for a backup. And so, but we would definitely have interest in talking to him.
Okay, Jesus, Randy, and then Chandler.
Dana, can you address this, and then perhaps Joe afterwards? Can you tell me what your rotation options look like for next year, and how realistic is it that you could go with these arms without adding something to free agency if you lose Framber?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be headed up with Brown, and we're going to have some conversations like we've had in the past with Valdez, and then we got some young guys that we're going to see what they could do, but then we're going to have some other guys coming back off the IL. Javier is one that I think he was the one that I thought once he came back, he started getting it up to 95. He had a couple games where he touched 96. And so I think he could be a big part of it. Blue Ball, you guys saw what he did at the end of the year. He still had the consecutive scoreless innings. So we'll give him, a good look. And so, look, we're going to have some options. We're going to probably be in the market for sure to, trade for an arm. But we definitely have options, and I'll let Joe talk to some of the other guys because he want to get in on this too. But I do feel like we're going to have enough options in terms of our rotation.
Yeah, and I think he touched on Javi. I think Javi was really show towards the end of the season that we're going to see the Javier that we saw in years back. Obviously, Hunter Brown, Cy Young candidate for me. He's one of the best in the game. Feeling great about him, coming back and being that workhorse that he was this past season. And there's some young players that we're really excited about. We were talking August, September about some pieces, some of these younger players that are coming up, which we will have conversations once we start putting this together. But I'm really excited about the future, guys. I think that it's going to be a fun offseason for us, trying to figure all these out and trying to put the best team on the field. I'm looking forward to it.
And if I could follow up on the catcher situation, some people within baseball wonder if your catchers really had the respect or the authority that a Martin Maldonado had with your pitching staff, where he kind of kept them in line. Do you get the sense that your catchers have gained that trust where, say, if an ace kind of goes out of line, that you could keep them in line? Because Martin did a really good job of managing your pitchers.
Yes, to answer your question. I think our catchers did a really good job on that aspect.
Okay, Randy.
Yeah, I mean, they
okay.
led the league in strikeouts.
Randy and then Chandler.
Two-part question, guys. The impact Carlos Correa had coming back, we could talk about that since he arrived and the leadership he brought back on the field in the clubhouse and moving forward to go into the spring. The second question, the sample size was Zach Cole. What did he show you in this time up and looking forward with him?
Yeah, obviously the Carlos huge impact. Happy to have him back, and I'll be touching base with him in the next couple of days. We're going to go have dinner, and we're going to talk about a few topics that I want to bring up, and but he'll be very much involved in my discussions about how we're going to make spring training. How things the way we're going to address in spring training. I personally like to empower some of our leaders to have a say in how we're going to address these, the aspects of our game that we need to address. So Carlos will be in the middle of those conversations. And Zach Cole obviously came in and, I was very impressed with the power, how calm and collective he was at doing his at-bats, how well he played center field. The throw he made in LA that that second game of that series, that was really impressive. That was a big out and a big moment, and he was able to execute that throw, which I thought it was very impressive. So I'm really excited not only about him, but a lot of the younger players that came up this year, and as we plan for our future, we got to really consider some of these guys because they did show some ability to play at the highest level in during a playoff run.
Okay, Chandler.
Dana, as you look back at the deadline, you said that you guys were going to count on a lot of the pitchers that were coming off the IL to contribute for you guys. That was in part also with the prices of why you guys went so hitter heavy. I guess looking back and looking forward, because you guys do have pitchers on the IL going into the spring, do you have to maybe temper your expectations for what pitchers can provide you coming off of the injured list after such long layoffs?
Yeah, look, I would say that, we were really relying on, Javier. He came back. I thought he did pretty well. Arrighetti, he came back off. He had some good moments and not so good moments. But, we really have confidence in those guys. And, we felt that they were going to be good. And so, could we have maybe addressed some pitching? I think our focus was more on the bat. And so, but, I still believe in some of those guys that, we had that were coming back. But, mean, I think the bats were the way to go because we were, so beat up, and we needed also to get a left-hand bat.
And then I have one follow-up. I think earlier you talked about, when talking about financial-wise, where you guys are gonna be money-wise next year, about, Jim always in it to win it. Have either of you guys spoken to Jim since the season ended, just about what next year's gonna entail and kind of laying out a plan going forward for next year?
Yeah, look, so I talk to Jim on a regular basis, and we consistently talk about the major leagues team, the staff, front office staff, and so our conversations are constant.
Since the season ended now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, one more in English, Kim?
Hi, I don't know if you already addressed this, so if you do, I apologize. I have a kind of a two-part question. You were talking about pitchers. Have you talked about and thought about what you guys do with Lance, and is there an update on Josh?
Yeah, so Lance, I'll answer that one. Look, the plan is for Lance to come into spring training and try to compete and help this club. I mean, he had some really bright moments, this year, and it's very difficult coming back off an injury where you haven't pitched in 2 years. And so I think that, he gave us his all, and he had moments where he was really good, particularly the one in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. But, we would expect that, pitching this year, we would expect them next year to be even better. And so we're hoping, that, he comes in and he's, ready to go because we can use him in that rotation and we can get, the Lance that, he's capable of being.
Second part, what was it?
Hater,
Sorry.
hater update.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Justin.
so the Hader update, we continue to get imaging consistently. He's getting better. He feels better. And so I feel like, confident about it. But, of course, we won't know fully until he starts to throw it. He's going to start throwing at some point, and then we'll know more. But it's moving in the right direction.
Okay, we'll switch over to Spanish now, right here.